This morning I had to do some weeding in this garden bed with the rocks in it. It still gets pretty weedy. And then I had this bed right here that had tomatoes in it that I pulled up, and then I had to weed eat it because it was just so full of weeds, really tall. And I didn't use fabric. I used mulch, but I didn't use enough mulch apparently. That is thick with weeds. So I knocked it down with a weed eater and pulled up the plants and any stakes that was in there, and did some weeding over here. I'll be putting some pansies that I'm growing from seedlings out here a little closer to fall so we can have some pretty flowers in those pots. And then I'm going to cover this garden bed with plastic and kill the weeds. So I need to cover it for a couple of months at least, so all of that will die back. And then I will pull that up, put landscaping fabric in, and then I'm going to relocate some of my blackberry plants in here. And I just have 4 blackberry plants. I may get like 2 more to add to this, but 4 I think could potentially produce 80 pounds. I'm not certain on that. That's just a quick Google I did. But that I think will be so much nicer. That's my weed pile. Then, sitting over here, which I need to trim that back, right, that bush back. Sitting over here and looking at a huge, pile of weeds. So instead there will be landscaping fabric to control the weeds. I learned my lesson on that for sure. Moral of the story, either use really thick mulch like I have over here. There's no fabric underneath these, but I have so much mulch. I still get weeds, but it's not really bad. Like I have some weeds growing right here in this calendula, but that's an annual, so I'll be pulling all of that up soon. And these, if you're not familiar with medicinal herbs, these are not weeds, these are medicinal herbs. That's feverfew, comfrey, bee balm. That was calendula. I'll be pulling that up and putting some seed in the fall for that to grow again in the spring. And we have lemon balm over here, yarrow, St. John's wort, broadleaf sage, chamomile in random places, wild thyme, have a few of those, some rosemary started from seed. That one's not the prettiest one. I just put another one in yesterday, started that one from seed. Those are really hard to grow from seed, by the way. Got wormwood and mullein. And mullein likes to grow over here versus in that weedy bed right there that I did not put fabric in. Another lesson learned, always use fabric or really thick mulch. And I will be using fabric for these 2 beds right there. We got some more chamomile here. I need to do some weeding. That's about as bad as it gets right there down the side, those weeds. Not too hard to pull out with this mulch. It doesn't get a chance to get too thick in there. And I just transplanted some lavender I grew from seed. I have just transplanted 3 of those, and then I already had 1 out here. Got some lemongrass, lemon balm, broadleaf sage, chamomile, tiny little yarrow over there. So that should bush out and be pretty big next year. The lavender should as well. I'm hoping there's enough mulch out here to protect it from the winter frost and snow. And we got a bad winter last year. That's another yarrow. Scarlet sage, I put these out yesterday. They're really small, so I'm not sure if they'll make it, but we shall see. I still have a lot of seedlings left, so I'll just continue to grow those and transplant those out a little closer to fall. Some lavender. And peel all. I just realized this bed is being watered, but it's not watering the one up there, which is a mess. It has a ton of good stuff in there, but too much of it. So I have to thin out a lot of stuff like irises and such. Yeah, a lot of irises. They take over. So I'm going to put some more echinacea down the side here. Really little at this point. But I want that bed to fill out in the sides with echinacea. There's some valerian in the back that I want it to take over the back, and some bee balm. The coreopsis is not medicinal. It is just a pollinator, a native pollinator. I hope I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. And but anyway, it died back, but it's already coming back through with some new growth, and looks like a weed right there that I need to pull out. But yeah, I need to fix that. Just some more herbs. That's a horehound, and that's another lavender I put out yesterday. Slowly growing. Munstead lavender, skullcap. Really like skullcap and valerian for nerves and anxiety and stuff. Primrose. These aren't doing as great as the other ones over there, but I plan to do something with that. That's a Tulsi basil. It's like a wild basil that comes back year after year. It's tougher than the average basil that you plant in your garden, and it can be used medicinally. And the bees just love the comfrey. They're always swarming it. My sweet potato bed. Well, I have kind of two sweet potato beds. Look at this Thai basil. That is huge. Yes, I love how beautiful that is. I'm gonna have some more sweet potatoes over here. Is asparagus, and these are asparagus ferns, so I will trim those back in the fall, and then potentially have asparagus next year. I'm gonna do some weeding out here as well. That's a fern. But that was the calendula bed and strawberry bed. I just ate like 5 strawberries and it was delicious. I wish I would have showed it to you, but I guess I was hungry. So, so anyway, it's time to pull this up soon. But as soon as I pull it up, I'd like to go ahead and plant. I'm gonna keep the strawberries in there. So I'm gonna buy bare root strawberries this year and just fill that thing with bare root strawberries, and that will be my strawberry bed. And for the sweet potatoes, I really hope I don't have the same issue I had with my Yukon Gold and red potatoes. I had wireworms just all in those things. I mean, we can eat them, we can chop them up and make sure, we don't eat any bad parts, but I definitely couldn't sell them like that. So those wireworms come from click beetles. So those beetles, lay their larvae or whatever in the dirt, and that's what happens. So, and now I can see some holes in these leaves, so it's very possible that these will be ugly too. And I think this fall I'm going to order some nematodes, beneficial nematodes, and put in all of my raised beds that I grow root crops in to help get rid of any of those types of pests, like the Japanese beetle. They lay an egg, they lay larvae, becomes like a grub worm type thing, and they feed on potatoes and stuff. So yeah, I just got to work on my organic methods for controlling the bugs that eat my potatoes, sweet potatoes, and any kind of potato really. So, as I said, we can eat them ourselves, cut off the bad parts, but I sure would like to have some pretty potatoes. The tomatoes, they are done for. I'm just letting them sit there because they help suppress the weeds until I can get my fall crop in there. And also, if you let the roots die in the dirt, then it will actually break down some of the nutrients that it took up and put it back into the soil. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'll pull it up as I plant. So but yeah, it's time to weed the blueberries again for the third time this year. That mulch is just not doing a great job. It actually has fabric as well. The wood I used around it isn't as thick as the wood for those other beds, so I couldn't put as much mulch. So that might be why. Maybe the mulch isn't thick enough. So I just noticed some of my amaranth is coming up. Let's see, where did I see them? There they are. That's not amaranth. Let me pull that one up. Okay. Yay! These are actually going to be really big. So I'm going to have to thin those out when they grow a little bit bigger. And when the temperature drops some more. But that is a Chinese amaranth. Is kind of going to grow like this really large celery stuff. It can be really beneficial for the soil since these are my potato beds. I decided to grow something that would help those. And it's edible. Maybe it'll be delicious. I don't know. It'll be fun and I think beautiful. My pumpkin garden's already starting to die back, and I'm already starting to get pumpkins that are completely orange and ready. Like this one. And before the bugs take them, I need to go ahead and harvest the majority of them. These morning glories and the lemon basil. They are so beautiful. Samara helped me plant these. That's one of her favorite flowers, so she wanted to make sure we got some of those. Some of the pumpkins that are being cured because they were already ready really soon. Not sure why, but you know, this table on the porch is a good place to cure them, and then I will put them in the pantry. Yes, this table is really dirty. It's outside, so it is what it is. But these pumpkins will go in the pantry after they've cured for 10 days. And can you believe my watermelons still aren't ready for harvest? These are black diamond. The curl is just now turning brown on some of them. So that means, you know, maybe another week or two for those. And hopefully the same for these. I don't know how many's in there, but I'm hoping, you know, anywhere from 10 to 20. See, that curl is just now turning brown, really. So, that's about the size of a basketball. That's quite nice. There's some funny looking ones in there too. But, yeah, the watermelon has been real slow going this year. I'm not sure why, but I do love this method of growing. It worked really well. I think it was all that rain that we got in June just almost killed my plants. So that's why they got a slow start. I have a bit of okra left. Some purple basil in there. The peppers are doing pretty good. Some of the plants have died back already. I'm not exactly sure why, but we still have a really good bed of jalapeno plants left with lots of peppers. So, and then we have habanero. The habanero, once these turn, this is an orange variety, so once these turn orange, they will be ready for harvest. Though I've noticed, see, this one does not look good. And it hadn't even turned yet. But I'll just keep an eye on those and make sure that that is accurate, because sometimes when they give you seeds, they're not exactly accurate. So the poblanos are doing pretty good. I don't know how many I'll have of those. Let's see. There's one. It's probably ready. I haven't tried them yet. I have a couple in the fridge that I want to make some sort of Mexican dish with, but I can't remember what these taste like exactly. I just know that they're popular at Mexican restaurants and they are not hot. They're supposed to be like a bell pepper, but tastier. I'll probably do a video on that, on how they taste. These are basil, just sweet Italian basil. But how many? These are some small plants, so hopefully those will get a chance to grow before it gets cold outside. Yeah. Orchard's still kicking. Apples, Japanese persimmon, a couple of pear, Chickasaw plums, some other type of wild plum, elderberries, and I think that's it. Just different kinds of apple trees, mostly plum, a couple of pear, Japanese persimmon. Oh yeah, pawpaw trees. And yeah, I know we need to take care of these. In the fall, we're going to weed eat around this and put more mulch. We mulch it every year. But the pawpaw needed shade when it's young to get established. So they seem pretty good to me though. I mean, they look healthy enough. I guess we'll see. This, I was going to do a vineyard, and that's why it's a straight up mess. I planted clover, and I never got around to the vineyard. I decided to condense. So, this crab apple is not looking very pretty. I just seen it not long ago. Oh, it has some sort of bug. Or caterpillar. I need to figure that out. And see what I can do organically with that. Pears are looking pretty good. Yeah. Most of the apples look good. The wild apples look a little crazy. Yeah, I forgot. I put a mulberry out here this year. We have a mulberry on the property between us and the neighbor. And so it's pretty much a shared tree. So us and the kids have fun eating mulberries off that. So I decided to go ahead and put one out here too. Back to this mess that we need to clean up. That's part of farming. You make messes and you gotta clean them up when it doesn't work out. So this was going to be the start of a vineyard, but I decided to just take the muscadine vine that I have and trellis it up like a cattle pennel trellis over there in the garden, in the vegetable garden area somewhere. Like build a cattle pennel trellis with T-posts and cattle pennel and just grow that muscadine vine up it. And then move these blackberries that are out here in what was going to be the vineyard, but is now very weedy. So I'm going to move these to I will be moving those blackberries to this area, the one that I just knocked down. So I'm about to cover that in plastic for 2 months, let all that die. Y'all know that mill that just burnt down in Baldwin? That's actually where we got all this wood to build our garden beds and stuff. So I feel really bad for them. Very thankful that we were able to get this wood at a good price. Y'all keep the owner of the wood mill and the employees in your prayers, that they are able to find good jobs, and the owner, Brian, is able to file insurance or whatever he needs to do, that he lets God guide him in his next steps in life, as we all do. I'm going to see if I can get up this little hill with this. It's probably going to fall off, but we'll give it a shot. Yes, getting my work in out today. If anything, I am strong. I just need a couple more pieces of wood to put on the sides here. Leave that for 2 months, let it kill all the weeds. And then I will come back with landscaping fabric and put those thornless blackberries here that I showed you out there where the vineyard was going to be. On the garden I started at the fence over there. Yeah, it's a mess, and I don't like having to go hand water all of that. It's just too much work with trying to maintain this garden and the medicinal herb garden and then the vegetable garden and the orchard. So I've decided to get rid of that garden and not expand it further in that direction. In the hops garden. So we'll just have, we may add some little mini gardens here and there throughout the gardens that I already have, but I'm not going to expand it as far as out there and try to just keep everything contained in this area. Yes, I know it's weedy. I need to weed this. I will get there. That's part of it. Things get weedy. You weed it as you go, but not everything stays weeded all at the same time when you have this many. So anyway, like I said earlier, tomatoes stay in there until I replace them with fall crops. Oh, this one was a mistake, just like that last one. I just covered in plastic. No landscaping fabric, and this is what happened. I did get a lot of Cherokee purple tomatoes from this, but yeah, I don't like this at all. So that's an example of what the weed fabric does. You see, there's still weeds, but how much easier that is to maintain and pull weeds from than this nightmare right there. So I will be taking this all down and weed eating it and covering it with plastic and then putting landscaping fabric on it, just like the one I just did in the cottage garden. Flower garden in the back, I have decided to get rid of. I still plan to have that front row of flowers and the sunflowers along the chicken coop like we usually do. But as far as the 900 square foot flower garden, I'm going to cover that up and decide something else there. Give us a little backyard playing area for when the kids come over, stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do there. I do have help building things. Like Matthew and Samara have helped me build so much. But as far as maintaining the garden, they'll help mow. But as far as weeding and weed eating and planting and harvesting and preserving and drying and planting and everything, weeding, everything that goes into the garden, this is my job. So it's what I do. And I just cannot maintain, an orchard, a cottage garden, a large vegetable garden, and, culinary herbs and all of that, and a large flower garden by myself. So I will be getting rid of that for the most part, most of it. There will still be some flowers back there to look at. But yeah, I'll be getting rid of that. That's a big update. Hopefully those hops will really take off next year. They're growing, but they are pretty slow going. And I have to weed that quite often and hand water it. But I'll just add more and more mulch over time. And just perfect my process. We just put these beds in this year. Me and Samara built the majority of these. Matthew built the raised beds for me. So, it's a learning curve. A lot worked out. Peppers are doing great. Tomatoes were doing wonderful. I got so many pounds of tomatoes. Potatoes did great. We just have to work on the pests for those. The medicinal herbs are doing fantastic. I just need them to fill in and take off so there won't be as many weeds to control. The watermelons are doing good. They just got a slow start because of the rain. Decided that mullein likes it better over here, so I will do something else with that little center garden there. Get rid of the fence garden that I said that's out there, and that will be my blackberries. Oh, I'm also that blueberry row that I need to weed. I'm doing the exact same thing on this side to create a wall effect, so a fence effect. So like when you walk into the cottage garden from over here, so when you walk into it, that blueberry row over there will eventually be really tall. That is the goal, and it will create a fence. So there will be a blueberry fence. So I'm doing the same thing on this side. So that is my cottage garden fence, a living wall, a living blueberry wall. And then maybe eventually I'll put like a white picket fence or something in the front, and then like a trellis of some sort right here and a gate. Yeah, I have big plans for this garden. I want it to be magical. I want it to be full of magical medicinal herbs and berries and just all of those things, flowers, and just a place to sit and enjoy and eat and smell, because these herbs smell so good. Yeah, big plans. It's coming together. There was a lot that didn't work out, but there was a whole lot that did work out.